what we have behind us, I want to explain various things. First of all, how is it that I'm standing in front of an LED wall? Well, there's an interesting story to that. This LED wall is not used for virtual production whatsoever. This LED wall is used for showing students sports games in the evening because we're in a place called the Waits Bar. So the specification of it is probably a little bit troubling for doing proper virtual production. Camera one, probably. But we found it on site and we thought, okay, we'll use it for this this webinar just to see what we can do. So one of the things we do here on our course, which I'll talk to you about in a minute, is what we do is here, okay. A lot of what I call sellotape and chewing gum. So we put things together very cheaply, very quickly, and very accessibly. And hence, we're not in a professional TV studio. We're hardly, we're in a back room of a bar that happens to have a big LED screen. And that's kind of the ethos. And that's sort of why I like the ethos of this 48-hour competition, because it's this idea that we can just have a bit of a go and see what comes out the other end. And as my question was to Christopher, you know, usually 12 people in a crew of 12, 1 week's prep, 1 day, 2 day shoot, 3 days fiddling, 5 days delivering, etc., etc. So we're doing all this in a very fleet of foot manner. I think that's what makes it interesting. So what I wanted to do in my little half an hour slot is I wanted to give you a little taste of some of the things we do here at Surrey on our courses. It's sort of shameless promotion time, but I think it's important because the people who are running this whole shebang today with the multiple cameras and the feed for the LED wall and the little switcher, which cost about 50 quid, are all the MA Film Animation and Digital Arts students. So I'm hoping, if this is possible, folks, I have in the folder a presentation. Can you find it? If not, I can come down. Lovely. Okay. Right. So this is what I want to talk about for about 10 minutes. And this is important because we are doing a very unusual and perhaps adventurous project here called FADA, Film Animation and Digital Arts. Now, I'm hoping we've got some people from Portugal in the webinar audience. If not, doesn't really matter because FADA means fairy in Portuguese. And so the whole concept of film animation and digital arts is this. We want to make some magic in 1 year, 12 months, one master's course, about 12 people, usually, maybe 15, maybe 11. And everyone is brought here to create a final project which they can be very proud of, and it can go to festivals, and it can win awards, and we can have a great show and learn lots in the meantime. And it doesn't matter what medium we use, film, animation, digital arts, VFX, pre-visualization, full 3D, 2D animation. It really, that's not the point. The point is the story, the portrayals, what people are trying to putting across a little bit of magic. So that's why we call it that. There you go. That's the title slide. Good timing. So that's MA FADA. Next slide. And why are we doing this? You may ask. Are we on the screen? Okay, but you can see me in a little insert. Yeah. Okay. Why are we doing this? Well, we're doing this because there's a real need for it. The industry and the world, let's call it that, needs really well-practiced, technically proficient, highly creative producers and directors that can speak across a whole variety of different media. So that's what we try to do. Multidisciplinary practitioners, it says here. Broad and deep level of skills for future leadership work roles within creative industries. So I used to work at the National Film and Television School, and that does the opposite. Very, very specialist courses, cinematography, animation directing, sound design, production design, etc. We do the lot, and we do the lot over a variety of different media. And the real important thing is we're interested in emerging new media forms. So everyone on the course, and me and the other people who work with us are interested in using either the latest and greatest technological tools, if we can get our hands on them, to make really great experiences. But we don't shy away from the old-fashioned stuff. We've got a bunch of Super 8 cameras, which we never use, but they look pretty. But we will also use 2D animation, hand-drawn, traditional film techniques. But the idea is, why technology? And the reason why technology is it should make things accessible. It should make things easier to do from a technical point of view. And what does that mean? It means we have a wider set of voices to tell really impassioned, great stories. And that's why we're doing it. Yeah, okay. This is like the sort of University of Surrey positioning, which is interesting. But this place is very good at engineering, technology, health, all that sort of stuff. We have an adjunct school of acting called the Guildford School of Acting, where there's some great in front of, well, usually on stage talent. We're trying to convert them to in front of camera talent. So there's lots of that. We don't really have that much of a creative arts heritage, but we do now, because we're making history and heritage right here in terms of doing moving image arts. We have a department called Music and Media. Music has gone back many, many years here at the University of Surrey. Sound engineering and music for 50 years or so. So there's a heritage in that which we align ourselves with. And we also have a reasonably new broadcast engineering and broadcast technology course, as you can see how that fits into the engineering vibe around here. And that's an undergraduate course, but we're involved in master's courses here. I want to talk about the research centres and initiatives as well. The main one, there's lots of them. There's one very engineering-y one called the Centre for Vision, Speech and Signal Processing. There's an Institute for People-Centred AI, or as I sometimes say, Institute for AI-Centred People. But that is a highly engineering scientific approach to artificial intelligence. We have an Institute for Sound Recording. We have, actually not on this slide, but I'll talk about it in a minute, which is we have an Institute for Sustainability, which is a new institute which is looking at sustainability across the board. And I'll talk about that in another mini slideshow. And we have this thing called the Centre for Creative Arts and Technologies. That is very new. It's been running about 3 or 4 years. And it's me and a few pals deciding that we want a research centre. And I'll also talk about that in a minute in another slideshow. So I don't know what's coming next. So the essentials of it are very simple. 12 months, one great project, and a few bits and pieces around it. And one of the bits and pieces is called Creative Media Practices 1, Creative Media Practices 2, where we try to equip people with the skills they might need, including virtual production, Unreal Engine, all that stuff, in order to have choices as to what medium, format, and vehicle they're going to use to make their amazing piece of work by the end of the 12 months. We are big on collaboration. So a lot of master's courses and even an undergraduate courses, you're very much an individual, and it's all about marking people as an individual. We don't really care too much about that. We want people to make great work and help each other make great work. So that's why collaboration is a real thing. And guess what? That really chimes and resonates with the industry. Because once you're out there, not even in the indie sector, not necessarily in the mainstream industry, but even as filmmakers, as animators, you're not alone. You are working with hopefully people you like to work with. There's some theory stuff, and that's taught by someone incredibly clever called Gavin Stewart, who's at this moment in time, he's doing a webinar to some prospective students, I think in Taiwan, actually, interestingly enough, on the course. But I couldn't be in two places at once, but fortunately I have colleagues. So what else is, oh yeah, here's what, this is, yeah, there's a couple of things. Let's go back to, yeah, forwards, FADA insertions, done that, one more. Okay, so this is the type of things we do in our skills development workshops. 2D animation, we try to give them fancy names. Motion emotion, meaning animation, because that's all about putting emotion and motion with a pencil or digital tools or drawing pads or whatever. We have virtual character creation, and shout out to the folks in Reallusion who help us make characters and bring them to life very quickly and quite nicely. So we do some virtual character creation, we do 3D, we do some stuff on digital performance, on motion capture, on working with actors, on script writing, on all sorts of stuff. You can see it on the sheet there. And we're in the middle, the people in this room, a lot of them, well, some of them are in the middle of that right now. And they're still standing or sitting in some cases. So we haven't killed them yet. Let's have a look. So virtual production, and we're doing some generative AI work as well, Unreal Engine. So we try to equip people with the latest, greatest tool sets, which don't require you to be Disney or Netflix or Warner Brothers or Pinewood. So yeah, next. What's next? Let's say. Yeah, we've got some equipment and facilities. That's really dull. Next. And we've got a lot of industry connections. So the thing about Guildford, which is where the University of Surrey is you get on a train and 35 minutes later, you're in Waterloo Station in London, which means you're at the very close to the VFX industry. There's a lot of people today who've come in from various parts of London. So we're kind of convenient. We're also close to Longcross Studios, Pinewood, Shepperton, and we have friends out there because I used to work in this business. And it's lovely to bring in people and to bring our students out to see people in the, I'm not going to call it the real world, in the strange world of film and television production. So a lot of our graduates from our previous undergrad course are working at these kinds of places. Guildford's a bit of a computer games industry hub. So there's a lot of people around here who are working in the games industry, and they have this lovely, what I call Hollywood envy, because, you know, the games industry kind of likes to make films or interactive films or playable films, and likes to make sort of production value type things. Whereas in the past, the film industry got games envy for a while when they thought games was the way of making, you know, shed loads of money. But there is this confluence, is the word I'd like to use at the moment, which is where, bless you, which is where, because we use the Unreal Engine for virtual production and real-time rendering, which is a games engine, and there's other things we can use which are far nicer and easier, like Ximmetry, which we'll hear about later. But it's effectively real-time rendering, real-time 3D rendering used in animation of film is where the games industry meets the film business. The filmmaking meets games development. And so that is really interesting because we've been dabbling with this for the past 15 years. And now everyone else has caught up. So top tip to all you folks out there. It's a quote from a guy called Jonathan Weinbren, who's a novelist. There is no percentage in being ahead of your time. There is no percentage in being ahead of your time. In other words, being ahead of your time. I'm a good example of that. You know, I was dabbling with these sorts of things for ages, but it doesn't matter. It's got to be the right time, right place, and the right time is right now. So what's next on this beautiful slideshow? Just a quick one about who are we looking for. Very clever people. If you want to put it on, if you want to put it on me, you can stop sharing. I think you can just put it on me. Yeah, we're looking for very clever people. I don't know if you can see all this. I'll stand out the way, but I do want to sort of gesture a bit. We've got Catherine Bigelow, who's a very clever filmmaker, but she's also a really creative person, and she's one of the sort of highlighting and early female directors. We've got Brian Cox, who used to be in a band called N Dreams, so he's a musician as well as a scientist. This chap is called Feynman, who is a physicist who plays the bongos and is an extremely cross-disciplinary artist, musician. And Richard Feynman won a Nobel Prize for something clever in physics. And this is an architect who's recently died, and I've forgotten her name, but I should know, who is beautiful artist, an architect and technician. So yeah, so what are we looking for? Someone with broad and deep range of interests, artistic and culturally aware, technically confident, a communicator, articulate, either in media or in voice or in writing, great storyteller, visually literate, all the bullet points there, media savvy. We need people who are clever. You know, you've got academic high flyers are useful, passionate about the arts. So 3 things I always say, which ring true. 3 things that we need to be. 1, we need to be interested in the world. Okay, so whoever you are, to do a course like this and to do this sort of work as a producer, director, maker, creator, is you have to have interests in the world, not just interests in yourself, not just interests in your social media feed, but interests in what's going on in the world in all its variants. And secondly, you have to be an interesting person. So interesting as in you've got things to say, you've got opinions, you've got stories to tell, and you just have to be the kind of interesting person that you'd want to sit down with somewhere over a coffee or a beer or whatever you do, and talk to. And that's really important because that communication and that emotional integrity and emotional intelligence is what comes through people's work. And 3, very important, the 3rd quality that people have to have is be nice. Interested, interesting, and nice. So we want to work with nice people. Everyone works with people they want to work with. And it's a team game, cliche alert. So that's why I always say interested, interesting, and nice. Those 3 things. And if people on the end of this webinar do nothing else, if they take those 3 things away, if they want to be in the production industries or in the media industries or being creatives in their spare time while working in a cafe or whatever, it doesn't really matter. Those 3 things are really important. Interested, interesting, nice. Okay, that's the end of that, I think. Yeah. So the next, I've got about 5 minutes or 10 minutes. I can't see that actually. So I've got about 5 minutes. I've got to watch. So I'd like very quickly to show a couple of little virtual productions we've done. So I'm going to stick it to screen share, and I'll come and drive. I'll get you to cue the next one. when we did get our LED panels in, too late for this competition last year, of course, we thought, okay, so there's a challenge has been laid down. 48 hours, 3 people, something. So we did it. And we did it, including getting the panels in. And it was myself, my colleague Anselin, who's somewhere in the room as well, and a couple of other people, well, one other person crew-wise, and some people in the background. So, and we did it in kind of 24 hours just to see if it could be done. And the results, which still isn't quite finished yet, but I might just show you a little bit of it. This is Act 1, Scene 5 of Macbeth. And it's when Lady Macbeth goes batshit crazy because she's just received a letter from her husband saying, you're going to be queen, I'm going to be king, we have to kill everyone. And she reckons, well, I'm not sure you're up to it, mate. So she summons the spirits into herself and goes for it, and she goes quite crazy. So the only twist in this is that's in Ukrainian, because we got a Ukrainian actress. We thought it'd be nice to do it in Ukrainian to show our solidarity. So this is Ukrainian Macbeth, Come You Spirits, or Dukas Merte, by Alina Vinacek. And it's very simple. We haven't quite done the sound yet, but I thought it might be interesting to have a look. So cue that and share screen.
Вони перестріли мене в день перемоги, і я незабаром пересвідчився, що знання в них вищі за людські. Я запалав бажанням розпитати їх докладніше, але вони розтанули в повітрі. Не встиг я отямитись, як з'явилися посланці від короля і привітали мене кавдорським таном, титулом, що ним незадовго до того вшановували мене оті віщі сестри, пророкуючи мені ще більшу велич словами: Макбете, славен будь, король майбутній. Вважаю за обов'язок сповістити про це тебе, найдорожча співучасниця мого величчя, щоб ти, бува, не втратила належної тобі радості, не відаючи про ту велич, яка на тебе чекає. Збережи це в своєму серці і до зустрічі.
Духи смерті! Сюди! До мене! Стать мою жіночу змініть. Із голови до п'ят наситьте люттю. Згустіте кров. Не допускайте жалощів до серця, щоб наміру жорстокого мого і рішучості незламної природи не похитнула каяттям. До персів моїх прилиньте, пориніть у жовч їх молоко. О, демони убивства! Хоч де б ви злу служили, темна ноче! Зійди в повита хмурим димом пекла, щоб ніж тих ран, яких завдасть, не бачив, щоб небо, розірвавши мли покрови, не закричало: стій, стій.
You can imagine a lot of sort of focus pulling problems. I can't even, 5 minutes. Wow. Okay. So, a lot of, yeah. And, moving cameras, just insanity. It was just crazy. But we thought we'd give it a go. Obviously, nice castle background, LED wall, very small studio, not much height. You know, you've got to give it a go, haven't you? So we've got other examples of virtual production we've done. But we just wanted to prove before our MA started that we could do it. So that's me. And there's time for Q&A. Okay, any questions from the floor? Come on, you can think of something. Christopher. Mm-hmm. Tell that to these guys. No, they all are. Yeah. No, I mean that's what I'm really excited about it. I'm also terrified on their behalf because it's not straightforward. But I think all these little opportunities that come up, courtesy of the Asian Virtual Human Association, and we might as well. And last year, okay, we ended up with a bunch of green screen footage and badly rendered background, but that's because I've learned lessons from that. We didn't have a course at that point, so we just had to grab anyone off the street and say, "Can you three be our students?" They made a valiant effort, but the point was it was too long, too much story, too much. It was about two girls on a boat getting lost, bumping into a ghost pirate who was a lighthouse keeper who took them to prison and tortured them. It's like feature film length. So that was a very easy lesson. So whatever the theme is, I'm sure people will come up with something. I'm sure you people out there in webinar land or recorded webinar land will come up with some ideas and approaches. And I think it's a very exciting thing to do. And I am amazed and impressed at how many partners and institutions and interests that Christopher's managed to wrangle in around the world now. And we want to make a headway in Europe. So that's why we're here. I think we're done. Oh, I got thumbs up. So thank you very much.